Welcome back to our Builder Source Kitchen. We're so pleased to welcome back Sara Robbins, a registered dietitian. It's so nice to have you back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, we learned a lot from you the last time you were here, and you allow us to cook and eat foods we like, but know that we're doing something good for our body.
Exactly. And that's really what food is all about. You want to enjoy food.
Right.
Because it does so much for us.
Without the guilt.
Exactly.
And today we're actually going to talk about how we can prepare a meal for diabetics. As Michael said earlier in the show, it's such a pervasive issue for people, especially across our state. And so we want to be able to provide them with an option to eat the kind of foods that they love too and know that they're doing right by their body.
Right.
So what are we going to do today?
Well, first, diabetes.
Yes, let's talk about it a little
Diabetes is high blood sugar, and it really is a cause, a breakdown in our body of the ability for insulin, our body to produce insulin and or use insulin.
Exactly.
And so you want to think of insulin kind of as a key for our cells.
Okay.
And that key unlocks the door to our cells and lets energy in, which is sugar, into our cells.
Right, okay.
So there's two main types of diabetes. Type 1 is we've lost the ability to make that key, and so we can't get the blood sugar into our cells.
Okay.
Type 2, which is 90 to 95% of all diabetes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Type 2 is preventable.
Well,
is the second big thing about type 2 diabetes. And it's the inability of, almost like the cells in our body have changed the lock, and so that key can't unlock the door to get energy in.
What a great analogy. A good way for people to really understand it. And you know, Bret Michaels, I remember when he was the Celebrity Apprentice and he went through everything he went through, he really stood on a major platform for diabetes. I think he brought a lot of awareness to the whole country about diabetes. And you're right, there's so many people with type 2, but you said preventable, and that to me was the key word. So what are some of the tips you have for preventing?
So, about 34% of Americans are actually overweight. The dietary guidelines have, really brought that to light for us. And that is something that really leads to chronic diseases like diabetes. And what we want to really do is look at our lifestyle, because it's a combination of lifestyle, the foods we eat, and genetics that can cause chronic diseases.
Sure.
But something like type 2 diabetes that is preventable, there's three main things.
Okay.
It's getting to a healthy weight.
Okay.
2 is losing weight, so that the foods that we actually eat. And 3 is getting 60 minutes of physical activity most days of the week.
Really, 60 minutes. And you hear 30, you hear 20, but 60 really is the answer. And especially, it's not just always about your weight, it's about your health. And that's number one. Yeah, you can't work out and do all these things to lose weight if you don't have your health first and foremost.
Right.
So now we're going to be also talking about the fact that you're the program coordinator for Dairy Max. So tell us a little bit about that.
Dairy Max is, we talk to New Mexicans about the benefits, the health benefits of dairy foods, as well as, nutrient-rich foods.
Okay.
So nutrient-rich foods are your low-fat and non-fat dairy foods, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains.
Right.
So they're those foods that really give you that nutrient bang for your buck.
Yes.
So more nutrients and less calories.
Okay, and you're going to show us today an example of that. So let's get right to it.
Exactly.
Show us what you're making.
So today we're making mango curry chicken salad.
Okay.
And so when you're thinking about a diet, what you really kind of want to think about is something that is sustainable for you, something that you can kind of do long term.
Okay.
Something like the DASH diet, which is dietary approaches to stop hypertension. So it's been proven scientifically
It has.
to actually reduce hypertension or high blood pressure.
Good to know.
As
DASH.
well as it increases your insulin sensitivity. So it actually helps for diabetes prevention as well.
Fabulous and easy. And the idea of, around all of this is that it's something, like you said, you can do this at home. It's something that's practical for a consistent lifestyle.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
the key.
So we have about a half a cup of plain yogurt in here.
Okay,
We're
just
gonna
plain.
Add a teaspoon of curry.
Okay.
And mix that up there, so it gives that, this is the dressing for the chicken salad.
Okay.
Gives some good flavor.
I'm interested in tasting it because originally I was telling you that I'm not a big curry fan, but I think when you mix it up and you blend it with different ingredients, you learn to try and actually appreciate different seasonings, which I like.
Because when you're eating healthy, you think boring, boring, boring. But, you really need to add flavor, and you do that through a lot of spices and things like that.
Great.
So I just added a half a cup of cubed up low-fat mozzarella as well.
That's
so
my
you're
favorite
getting
cheese.
your dairy in there. So it's, dairy is more than just bone building.
Right. It's not just your calcium.
Disease prevention too. Exactly.
Yeah, I think people do always associate dairy with your calcium, and they don't think about what else it could bring to your life. So that's great to know.
Here's some dried cranberries.
Yummy.
So it gives you that pop of color, as well as vitamin C for your skin.
Oh,
so
yes.
That
Good
in there.
point.
Some mango, which is in season right now.
Love mango.
So you're adding in some vitamin A as well, which is really good for your vision.
I love how you're incorporating so many different vitamins into this meal. And I also like the fact that you said plain yogurt, but sometimes when we think of plain yogurt, we think,
plain.
We need some fruit in there. So that's perfect. You got the fruit and the nuts, which I love.
So we have some walnuts, about half a cup of walnuts, which gives you that good omega-3s.
Okay.
So it's really good for your heart,
so
as well as proteins.
Omega-3s, vitamin C, and vitamin A so far. Great.
So we have 2.5 cups of grilled chicken breast. So, you know, it's something that you could do now that it's grilling season.
Yes.
Now that it's nice outside.
Yes.
You know, throw a couple extra chicken breasts when you're doing on the weekend.
Okay.
Then chop it up, throw it in with, you know, all the other things that we've mixed here, and you have lunch.
That's great.
Something that you can
And you have
take.
lunch for more than one day, probably, too.
Exactly. Exactly.
This is great. And it's ingredients that I don't think that everybody would think necessarily to combine. You might think about the fruit and nuts with the yogurt, but you wouldn't necessarily think of putting cheese and chicken in there.
Right.
And I like that you have found a way to make an appetizing dish that incorporates everything.
Right.
That's so cool. Love it.
So then we take this and we throw it on a bed of greens. Just like that.
Is that like a what is that called? What kind of lettuce is
That's
that?
butter lettuce.
That's what I thought. It's always so pretty. I never want to mess it up. I'm always afraid to eat it. It'll ruin the look.
So you put that on top of the lettuce, which is high in folate and iron, which is good for brain development.
Okay.
And so here you have a plate. And when you're looking at a plate like this, what you can really kind of think about, so for any kind of disease prevention, diabetes prevention, even managing your own diabetes, what you want to really kind of look at on your plate is that half of your plate is fruits and vegetables. So half of it is there. So there we have, you know, the lettuce and then the mango and the cranberries that are in the chicken salad.
Is that the general rule of thumb? Always look at your plate, look for half of it to be fruits and vegetables, always? That's a really good tip, and I think that's a great tip for parents as you make your dinners every night. Think about that. And it might not always be the popular choice initially, but as kids get to know that that's actually appetizing and yummy for them too, then they'll realize that they're missing those fruits and vegetables when they don't have them.
Parents are such a huge role model for their kids, and if they're going to eat it, then their kids will eat it too. There's actually a good study that just recently came out that if you smile whenever you're eating your food, your kids will eat it as well.
You're kidding me!
So you just put your happy face on, eat your lettuce, your mango, all those things, and kids are really going to eat it more.
What a great thing. Now, if people want to find out more information about what you do and what you can provide for them, I want to let everybody know how you can get a hold of Sara. Here is how you do it. You can look right on your screen. Of course, you can call the office at 505-255-0000 or her cell at 505-259-3194 and go to the website at www.dairymax.org. And I'm definitely going to be tasting this salad. I think I'm going to be sharing it with everybody. Michael is going to want some too. I appreciate you being here, Sara.
Sure,
thank you so much.
you.
You're such a pleasure to have and such valuable information.
Thank you.
And we are going to be talking a little bit more about mixing and matching items coming up soon. It's going to make you look like you got a whole new outfit. Our fashion consultant Denise from Diva Deluxe will be back with us coming up after the break.
No.